Hello, my name is Christian Jones and I'm a journalist within Manx Radio's newsroom. Now, despite new operational times at the airport coming into effect from the start of this week, Ronaldsway still saw numerous cancellations. The new times see the runway open around 40 minutes later to allow the facility to remain open till later in the day. I sat down with the airport director Gary Cobb, who says the disruption shouldn't be blamed on the Isle of Man alone.
There's quite a lot of issues in play. I think there's been quite a lot of noise made about ATC issues here at Isle of Man. In terms of the closures that we do, our closures are published well in advance. We have 5, so we close for the fatigue breaks at 8:30 till 9:05, 11 till 11:35, 1:30 till 2:15, 4 till 4:35, 6:30 till 7:15. So as you can see, typically 30 minutes, there's a couple of 45 minutes in there. Some of the delays and cancellations have been caused by 4 or 5 hours worth of delays, which are caused by a multitude of issues. So they may pick up a delay here, although we try to schedule the breaks where there's no traffic. However, with the congestion within UK airspace, European airspace, issues with aircraft, issues at other airports, delays happen and then they compound on each other. So I think what we've seen this week has been a compounding of lots of issues. Yesterday, we saw the cancellation of the Gatwick flight. I think that had picked up quite a couple of hours of delays quite early on in the morning as it was flying around Europe. It then got into Gatwick. I think there was an issue at Gatwick with fuel, and then Gatwick swapped its runway from the main to the northern, which again put some flow rate restrictions, ATC issues in Gatwick, which meant that aircraft wouldn't get here until well after the 11 o'clock closure time of the airport. We do technically close at 9:30. We can extend till 11. Unfortunately, we can't extend beyond that, but we've never been able to do that. Or if we were to extend beyond that, we would then have to sacrifice all the flights in the morning. So I think it's been a compounding of lots of issues, both aircraft technical issues, lack of flight crew, closures here, European airspace, UK airspace, and then issues at other outstations. Airlines cancel for a multitude of different reasons. Typically, we'll just get operational, or it'll be a late inbound aircraft. We try where possible to have a look. And then on top of that, you had all of the weather. So we had quite a bad few days across the UK in terms of weather, which again, aircraft can't fly through. So that compounded issues this week with all the hot, stormy weather that we're seeing, particularly in the UK.
So do you have concerns about the reputational damage? Because we see regularly, and I'm sure you do too, people always hop straight onto social media to complain.
So naturally, we don't like to see cancellations or delays. The reason that we're putting in these ATC rest periods is so that we can basically carry on with training and provide a roster that is certain. Putting those breaks in allows us to be able to ensure that our ATCOs are trained. So we have gone out and recruited ATCOs. We have a new ATCO on site. We have several joining us over the coming months. We need to be able to operate a roster that allows air travel to continue, but also we need to be able to allow these ATCOs to train. And the training is typically the 2 to 3 years. So unfortunately, we will have some issues. Summer periods for aviation is always very difficult. So where people can hear, oh, it was an ATC issue, doesn't necessarily have to be here at the Isle of Man. Last year, we didn't have any of these closures. We had a lot more closures caused by European and UK ATC. And I think even Glasgow today had to close temporarily to allow an ATCO for a fatigue break. Newcastle are doing the same. So this is unfortunately a universal UK and European problem, which hopefully will be resolved quite soon. We're hoping that this temporary roster will be in for a couple of months over the summer. And then as our training pipeline continues, we'll see these restrict, but you will still always have the potential for airline technical issues and other UK issues.
And we've had a number of people contact us, I'm sure yourself as well, to say they're not confident with the reliability of air travel. Does that create a concern for you about the future of the airport and bookings?
So naturally, it's always a concern. People are worried about the airlines leaving. We spoke to EasyJet recently and they're quite happy with the services. Loganair have other concerns, but not necessarily always linked to what we're doing. So naturally, there's always going to be a concern around consistency. And the way that we get consistent is we train our air traffic control. In an ideal world, we've now recruited up to 17 ATCOs, but it will take time to go through. What we need to do is get the budget to ensure that we can stay at the 17 ATCOs so that any medical loss, any retirement has no impact. But unfortunately, I think there will be some uncertainty in aviation as the rest of the UK catches up. Air travel came back a lot quicker after COVID than what was expected. And that's why you've seen some of the issues in terms of ground handling, air traffic control and pilots across the network.
So once we have all of these newly trained ATC staff in place and are on the frontliners per se, will the disruptions caused by fatigue breaks be reduced because you're able to overlap those breaks?
Actually, the only reason we have put those breaks in is because we've not got enough valid ATCOs who have those endorsements to be able to control. In terms of actual physical bums on seats, we have the right number. We have some downgraded medically and some going through training. Once we've got enough people through training, then we will be able to reduce some of those breaks and eventually eliminate. But again, this isn't a unique situation to the Isle of Man. Newcastle have it. I think Glasgow closed today to allow a break. And there are other airports where they are very, very short on ATCOs. Unfortunately, Brexit has meant that we can't recruit European ATCOs anymore. They have to be UK or they have to go through a conversion training. So again, the pool of air traffic controllers that we can recruit dwindles. And then there is such a short supply that a lot of airports are recruiting ATCOs from different airports. We've been very lucky that we have a very loyal cadre of air traffic controllers here who love the island. And you can see that by the fact that they are working day in, day out to make sure that we can get as many people flying as we can. And in terms of the TT numbers, I think as an airport, we were 17% up on last year. So we have seen people fly, and TT was very successful, I think, from an airport perspective.
Thank you for making it to the end of the Little Manx Radio newscast. You are obviously someone with exquisite taste. May I politely suggest you might want to subscribe to this and a wide range of Manx Radio podcasts at your favourite podcast provider so our best bits will magically appear on your smartphone. Thank you.